Welcome to Pound for Pound ATL, arguably the best place to get facts and opinions on your Atlanta Falcons. And absolutely the best place to get your opinions in. The guys are here, the chat is ready, and the conversation starts now.
What's going on, football fans? We're back once again with another live edition of Pound for Pound ATL. I'm one of your hosts, J.R. Clark, joined by my main man, Toby D. Getting to talk about a win again, which is great. And we can chalk it up to a bad team or what have you, but we're going to get into it. But I'm just glad to be talking about a win. What's going on, Toby?
Man, nothing but a 6-7 win. I mean, we're 6-7 right now. Who would have thought you're already 2 games above what you were last season? That to me is impressive. We talked about how depleted this roster is, and for you to still be able to be at this point, this late in the season, that part I give Arthur Smith and his staff for what they've been able to do with the type of talent that they've had going out there. I mean, you'd have told me you're not going to have Ridley. You already weren't going to have Julio. And you're still out there going 6-7 this late in the game. I don't think I would have believed you, JR. How you feeling about it?
That's the thing. It's, early on, I know even on the show we've had, our emotional ups and downs with this team, with the staff or whatever. Early on in the offseason, we felt like, if things broke right, maybe we could compete. It turns out for the most part, with the really good teams, we have to be flawless to compete.
Yeah.
Like I made a joke the other day, right now we're probably the best of the bad teams. But with all that being said, like you said, this is a team that has 6 wins. And you have had some good performances against good teams. Like, you can say what you want to about the Panthers. They had a, top 10 defense going into this matchup. And you were able to, control the game in the way you wanted to. Your defense, as of late, has started to make some, timely turnovers.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into here in a little bit. But the team overall, I think you're starting to see the identity of what this coaching staff wants to be is starting to come to light. Yeah. Like, none of us could really, nail down, like, how long is it going to take for the team that Arthur Smith wants to have showed, like is on the field. You see what I'm saying? Like, how long is that going to be? We're not 100% sure, but I think you're starting to see the identity show up, which is, a opportunistic style defense.
Yep.
The secondary is starting to show some consistency, which is allowing Dean Pease to then deploy the pressures that we knew that he wanted to deploy, but wasn't able to early on in the season.
Yeah.
Like, you're starting to see that more often. Now, whether we like it or not, the defense did take a blow with losing Eric Harris. It was a veteran that Dean Pease trusted to at least be in the area that he was supposed to be.
Right.
But this later in the season, you have seen Jalen Hawkins get more playing time. So Dean Pease should feel pretty good about him stepping in. And then Richie Grant, our second-round pick, has started to get some more playing time as well. So that's showing you that consistency is building with Grant. So I'll say this, man, we're really one or two solid or above average receivers away from having an amazing offense again.
Yeah.
Because you're already seeing the stress that Kyle Pitts is putting on defenses. And he's only a rookie. Like, he's I think second or third in tight end receiving yards.
Yeah.
Over the whole NFL. Now, the troubling thing is, the 1 touchdown. That's kind of worrisome. But it just could be a deal like that they're putting a lot of stress on him in the red zone, or, that Matt Ryan Look, he could just be having a Julio effect. I'm not trying to get into the minutiae of Matt Ryan's history of not being able to get his star players touchdowns. That's is what it is at that point. But needless to say, 3 games in a row, and this is a little video I made earlier this week. 3 games in a row, you've had over 100 yards rushing.
Yep.
And you did it against 2 pretty stout defenses in Tampa and Carolina. So that right there is encouraging, and it is what we thought we were going to get when we got, when we hired Arthur Smith. That was one of the selling points to me was his ability with the run game. Now, you hoped that it wasn't all Derrick Henry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's showing that it wasn't. It took a little while to get it going, whether that was the offensive line's issue, figuring out that Scordero Patterson is apparently the heartbeat of your offense.
Yeah.
And, but like you said before, Mike Davis is finding his way. Something you brought up before we went on air was the screen game has looked really good.
Yeah.
It looked really good against Carolina, and it looked pretty good against Tampa as well.
Mm-hmm.
So initially, I'm liking what I'm seeing. It's what we started asking for, early on, which was we just want to see some consistency.
Yeah.
And with a less talented roster, you're still in the playoff hunt.
Oh wow!
Is amazing.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. If we make it into the playoffs, I'm pretty sure we'll get bounced in the first round. But that would be an achievement in itself because you're going to have to go, I'm assuming probably 3-1 over these next 4 games.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
To be there.
Yep.
So that means you will have to beat San Francisco. Man, English is failing me today. Toby,
come on now.
Do you hear? I just said San Francisco. What is San Francisco? Anyway,
the team we gonna beat Sunday.
I guess they'll be San Francisco. I was gonna make a bad pun. I can't even do it. Whatever. Moment has passed. Anyway, if we can beat San Francisco or Buffalo, now both of those games are on the road, so that might help.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, and San Francisco is kind of like Atlanta this year. They've had woes at home as well. They've been a better road team than a home team. So if we can go into San Francisco or Buffalo and steal one of those games and then take care of your business against Detroit and the Saints, you pretty much about locked that spot up.
Yeah.
Which would be insane to me. Now, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I've been rambling for a while, so.
Oh, you all right? Hey, man, ramble on. We got to win. And, like I said before we got on the show, Sunday started your playoffs.
Right.
So for anybody that's thinking, we're going to get to the playoffs, your playoffs already started because you're basically on a 1-game elimination each week, these 5 weeks that you had left. And you started it out getting Carolina out of the way because they were indeed in your way, both teams 5-7. Going into that game, you was able to come out of there and make it tough on them to even make it. They said it's 1% for anybody that's 5-8 currently right now with that record to make the playoffs as opposed to 6-7, which is a much higher percentage than where the Falcons are at. So for you to be able to knock them off, and now you go in here to San Francisco, this ain't the type of game Kyle Shanahan's going to be able to say like he did in 2019 when we played them. That was probably our Super Bowl that we won because they was on their way already to the Super Bowl for that year anyway. Now this is a high-stakes game for San Francisco, and Kyle Shanahan is going to have to really take this one serious because if we can knock them off and not get knocked out by them, we control everything from this point on. We don't have to worry about anything going on with Washington, who is currently in front of us right now because they got the tiebreaker over us, and the Eagles, who was off. They had their bye week and now back, and they're also at 6-7. So we got some things. If we can take care of San Francisco, then we don't have to worry about those teams. We control everything from this point on, but we'll see how they go down on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be, an interesting to see, like, how Arthur Smith and staff handles, a pressured game in that aspect. Do, how do they call it? Do they keep trying to call the way they've been, calling a game? Like I said, with Eric Harris going down, does Jalen Hawkins step up? Does Cordero Patterson, who had a couple days rest, which they seem to be, taking that kind of precaution with him as he has become more of a vital part of this offense.
Yeah.
Like, what ways does he impact the game? Is it running? Is it, in the passing game? Like, you're going to have to do something because San Francisco's got, so a really good defensive line with Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, and they got another guy. They've got a really good defensive line, and they have one of the better cover linebackers in the league in Fred Warner.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's not an easy task.
Not at all.
But you didn't have an easy task against Carolina. Now, your quarterback got hit quite a bit again, but you didn't give up any sacks. So, somebody got in Ryan's ear and told him to, throw the daggone ball away or what have you. You know what I'm saying? Because you didn't take any sacks. Which I did find it hilarious that the social media team was touting that, like, oh, give the O-line some love. I'm like, for what? What, for finally showing up?
Yeah.
I definitely wasn't going to vote for Caleb McGarry in the Pro Bowl. But he had a good game. And I did find it interesting that the announcers made a comment that, here lately, when we've had success running, it has been behind Jalen Mayfield and, Jake Matthews there on the left side.
Yep.
I think Jonathan Vilma commented that they have been able to punish defenses on that side. And I don't know if that's necessarily the case. That I thought that was being a little nicer than he probably should have been. But it was nice. I mean, that hole that they opened for Cordero Patterson to score that touchdown on the left side. Yeah. I mean, you had Keith Smith making, a perfect block. Mayfield got up to the second level and just cleared that hole out, and Patterson went in pretty much untouched from about 6-7 yards out.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ulysses Venture tipped us $5, which we appreciate.
Hey, Ulysses, we appreciate that.
He says, going to the game Sunday with my father, who's a Niners fan. Can't wait. I hope we run more plays to scheme Pitts open. I'm predicting another interception from A.J. Terrell. Dude, A.J. Terrell, holy
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. Has that guy not been just an absolute gem of a player this year?
Yeah.
It was something you said offline was, he's been the best corner out of that draft for everybody who was, griping and complaining that we picked him over the 16th overall, or I think it was 16th.
Yeah, 16th overall.
16th overall, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then when we picked him 16th overall, the amount of belly aching I saw, and we heard even here on our channel during the, during that whole process, he has turned out so far to be far better than Jeff Okudah and C.J. Henderson and anybody else that was drafted. And right now he looks like one of the only real playmakers that we have on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, he's starting to really understand that scheme, and you can tell when you got a cornerback that basically gets to the point where they're running the routes for the receiver.
Yep.
That shows you how good they're understanding the scheme and route concepts. I mean, he almost literally took a ball away from one of the receivers on that last one, what would have been his second interception in that game. And he basically ran that route for dude. Where dude should have been at, he was there to get the ball. It's just that dude had just enough arm strength to get in there and just kind of knock it out, so he couldn't, fully possess it. But this guy is truly understanding this scheme. And I mean, give Fabian Moreau some credit, too. Yeah. I mean, this guy is fighting on the other side of A.J. Terrell, and he's probably in an argument right now that you might could re-sign him on the cheap, because you're going to need as many people as you can that understands your scheme and to build around in 2022.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to have to bring in a whole new crop of 1-year guys.
Yeah.
You definitely want one guy to, like, you're hoping that somebody like a Fabian Moreau or Deron Harmon, really grasps it and like solidifies his position. As maybe not, like I said before, when we were talking in the offseason, none of these guys wowed you in signing wise, but what you were hoping is that they could come in and give you solid play.
Yeah.
And so, with that being said, the solid play is finally starting to show up in Fabian Moreau, and that gives you an easier decision come free agent time, come draft time. If there isn't somebody that absolutely blows your skirt away, you can feel confident in bringing a Fabian Moreau back. He may not be the best, like, talent wise,
right,
but if he understands what he's supposed to be doing, and you can count on him, especially if you got a guy like AJ Terrell on the other side, and if Richie Grant or Jalen Hawkins starts to really show up, that could be, because that's what Dean Pease needs is a formidable secondary. If he can get that formidable secondary where he can start dropping and replacing guys, rushing guys from different platforms, and I think that's something that will eventually help out. Yeah. Bradley Burnett just tipped us $5, which we appreciate.
I appreciate that, Bradley.
He says, which skill position player would you like to retain moving into next season? I'd like to see them hold on to Cordell Patterson.
Yes.
And Gage at least. Yes. Cordell Patterson for sure. Gage, as long as he's not actually asking for number one wide receiver money. Does that make sense?
No, he's not going to be asking for that.
I know he's not, but like I'm saying, if he don't get that idea in his head that, I need 10, 12 million. No, you don't.
Yeah, no, you won't get that. We'll give you probably 3.
Right.
We'll give you 3,
maybe 4
a 3-year deal. Yeah.
But yeah, like I'll keep Gage, because when used right, not that he's forced into a role that he shouldn't be in right now.
Yeah.
Let me put it like that. He's not that he's being used wrong. There just ain't no other option at this junction. But if he can get back to the number 3 in the progression chart, like you can consider him the number 2 wide receiver. I don't care, but number 3 in the progression chart, working primarily out of the start or slot, that's where he can succeed.
Yeah,
reliable third down chain mover. Something like that. I ain't trying to pay him much. So if he's coming back on the right price, I'll take him.
Yeah, and one day we'll get into probably a little deeper closer to the end of the season. But JR, you're starting to see some clarity on where these guys are fitting. Yeah. I mean, shout out to Arthur Smith them for even believing in Russell Gage, first of all, to push him up to that level, because he's giving you enough to at least have a stable offense. And that part I'm excited about, because I didn't see that coming. I mean, the last 2 games, he's been doing pretty good. Had his most yards against Tampa the week before with 130 yards. But he comes back in this game with at least 64 yards. Now, he connected on some of the play action passes that Matt Ryan was throwing him.
He'd been over 100.
He would have had a killer day. Yeah, he would have had a killer day.
I mean, if he'd have connected on, I know of at least 2 play action passes.
Yeah.
If he'd have got them, he'd have been over 100 yards again.
Yeah.
So like I said, you can see that scheme starting to really show up, and that is getting me excited.
Yeah.
Well, that is our opening salvo. So let's go ahead and jump into chat here and see what everybody's saying. Site BTW says, "Hey fam, what's up? We are still in the hunt, baby. Great win. We aren't done yet, but absolutely must win this week. If we lose this week, our chances look bleak." Exactly. That's what we were talking about. We're in the hunt, but it's almost like a hunt by proxy right now.
Yeah.
But you're there, and you can't scoff at that. Like, you dropped if you were dropped a couple more of them Washington type games, which I really feel like the later, last year's regime probably would have at least dropped one of those, like the Dolphins or something like that, and you'd have been out of it by now. So the fact that you're in it, you can't discount that. Let's see. Dexter Vallis says, "Well, rise up." What's going on, Dexter? Same thing with Joseph Thornton says, "What's up, pound for pound?" The confidence and consistency is starting to show. Exactly. Jonathan Malavy and Woon Carter are in the house. What's going on, gentlemen?
Woon Carter.
That's right. Yeah. Millie Mills, he says, "P for P, what's good, are y'all?" Man, we're glad to be here tonight.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here. Glad to be talking about a win. Mississippi Paper says, "P for P, we're coming off of a good win. Defense is looking good." The defense was looking good. Like I said, they had some timely turnovers, timely sacks. We'll get into the actual stats here in a minute, but we can get into a little bit here now. But I mean, the Panthers stat-wise, other than rushing, they won the game.
Yeah.
Like, they had total yards 334, 243 passing. They were 5.4 yards a clip on their plays. They had more first downs. We got them in the third down efficiency game, which is a big deal, and we got them in the fourth down, which was a big deal. But I mean, time of possession. That's the win right there. That's that win that Arthur Smith won. We had time of possession 34 minutes to their 25.
Mm-hmm.
You just didn't give them a chance. So that's how you're gonna have to win these games. Let's see. ATL Paris says, "Decent dub, but it's not time to rise up. But now it's time to rise up and get to the playoffs. We need to get a wide receiver and get jiggy. We need a wide receiver. That much is for sure." Millie Mills is echoing your sentiment. The playoffs start now.
Yeah.
And that is very true. King 7 says, "What's up, P for P?" What's going on, King? Glad you're here tonight. King? Fred Butt says, "We're making the playoffs, and when we do, Arthur Smith should be coach of the year." I'll tell you this. If we make it to the playoffs and Arthur Smith wins a playoff game, then he definitely 100% should be coach of the year. Flat out.
And listen, even if he's not, this is already a huge accomplishment for him and Terry Fontenot.
Oh, yeah.
I know we've been hard on them and been on their head. But you're 6-7 right now, and I see at least 2 or 3 more wins in your future before this season is over. You mess around and you can capitalize and go 3-1 to add that to your record. This will be a huge point of clarity for Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith. They're already seeing where they are and what they need to do. Right. If you can do this, you might just be one more class away from competing, really competing in 2022 if you're able to pull this off.
Right. Especially with the news that the cap is going to be set at 208.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's good news for us. I mean, we ain't gonna go into this unless we do some crazy stuff. We're not gonna go into this year with a ton of cap space, but we're gonna go into it with more than what we had last year.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So that's good news there. Let's see. Tasman says, "What's up, JR and Toby? What's going on, Taz? Glad you're here tonight." Nick Bangaloo says, "Should have been roughing the passer on Matt Ryan. Should have been." I agree completely.
Yep.
And he says, "Can we win one game by more than one score?" Not right now, we ain't, but hey, we're winning. I don't know. It's going to be a minute, I think, before you see like a dominating win,
I mean, look, man, last year you lost 8 games by 7 or fewer points. So to be able to turn that around this year, I say that's a win.
Yeah. All right. Charleston Nash says, "I'm finally here to watch a live stream. God bless." Same to you, man. I'm glad you're here, Charleston, and God bless you and your family. He says, all right, Mykal Walker says, "Facts, Fabian might stay because of scheme. You never know." I mean, it's something to think about. Antonio Holloway says, "Thomas Morstead came in and provided good punting. Yeah,
Yes, he
that's
did.
something
Yes,
something
we'll get into that too.
right that we
Yeah,
need to talk about as well because my
yeah,
God, Morstead has like changed that aspect of the game for us, which has been
yes,
huge.
yes.
Oh
And that's
man,
helped the defense tremendously too.
yes it has. Our good buddy Damsky from the great up north there. What's going on,
Demsky, what's
Damsky?
up, man?
How you doing, brother? I'm glad you're in here tonight. Let's see. Jonathan Malavy says, I think Hayden Hurst returning made a difference last Sunday, clearly, but not sure if he can keep it up, though. I hope so, man, because I would love to see him starting to get to rolling, too. Because if he can provide, competent receiving option as well, that could really
Yeah.
help out. Hey, Big Low Country Sports is in here. Says,
Man, what's
what
up?
up? He said, what in the world, Bo? What's up, P for P? Man, what's going on, guys? I'm glad y'all decided to stop in here tonight. Let's see. Tasman says, we need to stop Kittle and Debo Samuel. If we can do that, we will be in a great position. I mean, dude, Kittle is a load, straight up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And Debo, just like Cordell Patterson, is a mismatch nightmare.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're not drawing an easy assignment. Along with Kyle Shanahan, we know what the type of play caller he is. Like, we watched it firsthand here for 2 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're going to have to be on their P's and Q's. It's not going to be an easy game. But at this junction, like, the same with us, San Francisco has shown it's up and down this year as well. They've had some weird games and they've had some blowout games. They've had some games where they've blown out some people and then gotten blown out. So it's just going to be for them, just like for us, depends on which team shows up.
Yeah. I mean, in the words of Steve Smith, ice up, son. Because this is going to be one of them games where your physical presence is going to have to be made known. And I think it's going to come down to the most physical team that's going to win this game, that can impose their will on the other opponent. And the Falcons, the way they got this run game going the last 3 weeks, and now they've added that screen game to go along with it, you're talking about putting something mentally in that San Francisco 49ers defensive head that now they got to worry about a screen game to slow them down from being so aggressive up front. And that can really help out Matt Ryan in that offense moving forward, not just this game, but moving forward through the other 3 games after this.
Man, you talk about icing up. Like, Caleb McGarry better ice up. Like, going against Nick Bosa, I mean, Bosa's got to be over there just absolutely licking his chops.
Yeah, he's salivating.
With some of the performances that, McGarry has turned in this season, like, he better ice up.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be in for a long day dealing with Bosa. And they better have a game plan for Bosa.
Yeah.
Like, whether it's if it's Lee Smith over there chipping him or, whoever, double teams or whatever you got to do. Because what you can't do is let Bosa and Eric Armstead do what Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh and all those guys from Tampa did.
Yeah.
They absolutely wrecked any chance of you getting your offensive going.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't have that happen again if you want any chance to win this game.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people are bringing up getting pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo.
And we can. But, yeah.
And the deal is, with Garoppolo, he's actually been really good against pressure, this year. And there were some jokes that were floating around on Twitter. Well, good. We have the perfect plan, which is not to get pressure. So it'd be interesting to see what they dial up against, Jimmy, because he has shown the propensity to, throw the ball to the other team.
Yes, he has.
And that could be, the biggest difference there is because, in the Carolina game, you capitalized on 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
And I think 2 of them you scored points on, and one of them, you it was a field flip, or it was almost as good as scoring points.
Yeah.
So that's something that you're going to have to, hopefully you can get some turnovers and, steal a couple of possessions, because that's the type of team we are right now.
Yeah.
Is that,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No, I was about to say, you heard him on the sideline when off that pick six Mykal Walker had him. I want to talk about him too, but they were talking about Cam Newton over there saying, I ain't seen that play before. So this tells you already that Dean Pease is throwing a little bit more in there that he couldn't do early on in the season. And unfortunately for other teams, they don't have the film on it because he was unable to do it until now, which is great for us because now if the more you see the defense is able to handle, that's more unscouted looks that you're going to show opposing offense that they haven't seen on film yet because you weren't able to do it up until this point.
Right. I mean, with getting as much as we like to give him like milk carton type crap, getting Stephen Means back, even though I will say this, made me shake my daggum head. You had a play where Means was come flying in off the edge, and you had the mesh point of Cam Newton and Chuba Hubbard, and Means just, I'm going after Cam.
Yep.
Didn't try to slow up or nothing. I'm going right at Cam, and Hubbard just walks right into the damn end zone.
Yep, walks into the end zone. He in there.
So yeah, it was that kind of stuff drive you crazy. But again, Dean Pease likes his, his bigger ends on the defensive side, which can, it feeds into his scheme. So anything that gets him more comfortable, with being able to call plays that ain't been able to call yet, all that's going to do nothing but be a boon for us.
Right.
So that part I'm excited about. King 7 says, what 3 positions you guys think we need to complete this team next year? Do we keep or let Foye go, being that he's becoming a free agent?
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, I like Foye right now. I guess, like, to me, the expendable one is Debo. If you're talking about just straight up expendable, but I mean, I like the 3-3-5 look, which is what we were in when with Mykal Walker catching that interception. I would like to start doing more of that. I would like to get, all of those guys on the field more. It's a crime that Mykal Walker only had 5 snaps. And one of those, he has a pick 6.
Right.
So, but who do you take off the field? Do you take Debo or do you take, Foye off the field?
I mean, Foye is your captain, so to speak. He's calling the defense or whatnot, so you can't take him off the field. Not to say that Debo can't, but they made the switch for a reason. They felt like Foye was better primed to be able to do that. And it could be that, Arthur Smith has a weak spot for Yale students, because his dad went to Yale and stuff like that. So, it could be that. But, I mean, Foye is playing his mind out of his mind right now. So you can't take him off. Debo, like you said, to me, there's some decisions that are going to have to be made in 22. And it's going to be some tough ones that you're going to have to make. But I think you're seeing some clarity on what you're going to be able to do and what you're going to want to do. As you keep winning games, it's making it more clearer and clearer on what moves, to me, in my opinion, that you're going to need to make in 2022. But right now, you got to let Debo play it through.
Right. Yep.
But he's definitely not himself.
No, he's still trying to really feel his way through this system. Damsky brought up a good point about Fred Warner. Says Fred Warner's going to eat this game, man. Dude's unreal against outside zone schemes like us. He says Kyle is going to look to get continuity in the run game. They're getting that Ayuk going now, that Brandon Ayuk. It's not going to be an easy game. And he echoes it up with the Falcons are going to be without Eric Harris. back there, they're going to have 2 starting rookies. With 2 rookie safeties starting. I mean, I guess you could consider Jalen Hawkins a rookie since he didn't play much last year. But it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds. It's not a slam dunk, and it's not easy, but nothing has been a slam dunk this year. Nothing has been easy, and this team hasn't imploded in the sense of giving up, and they're playing hard. So I give them credit there. And the same thing, or not the same thing, but, Jordan Yates brings up a good point. He says, did Kaminsky impress you dissecting the zone read like he did me? I thought he played the running QB better than other ends we have. I did like what Kaminsky showed you out there.
More linebacker looks.
Right. So that I was happy with Kaminsky like showing up. I think the lingering, I think it's concussion that with Jonathan Bullard has opened up, an area for Kaminsky to come back in. So we'll see if he can keep it going, but no, like nothing from here on out is going to be easy. Like, I hope that we're not giving off that vibe because it's going to be a fight.
Yeah. Listen, you're going to have to come out and lick these guys. And that's what I said before. It's going to come down to who's the most physical. You get your opportunities to lick them. You got to get them.
Right.
And that's the whole thing, because if you let them come out there, and George Kittle, he'll carry the whole team to the end zone. We saw him do it against New Orleans, man, that, on their way to the playoffs and stuff. And you got to be, this guy's very physical. So you got to match their intensity and, matter of fact, be beyond that. And I'm hoping that we're going to get to see the continuous nature of how Arthur Smith is going to prepare these guys. Because like I said, the playoffs started Sunday. You had to knock that team off of Carolina, and now you got to try to go in and knock San Francisco off in order to keep your playoff hopes alive. So you're going to have to play your best ball moving forward.
Exactly. I agree with that. Let's see. Tasman says, I'll take my chances with Jalen Hawkins and Richie Grant any day over Eric Harris. Like I said, it's that fine line between veteran experience and rookie talent. So we all agree that Eric Harris isn't necessarily the most talented, but he understood what he was doing out there, and that can go a long way. King 7 says, I think we should go back to a 4-3, grading the middle and draft Jordan Davis, and out him in the middle next to Grady and have Debo. Okay, I get what you're saying. But Dean Pease's base is a 3-4. I mean, he plays a lot of different looks, probably a 3-3-5 as much as anything else. But his base concepts, from what I have seen and read, is, a 3-4 defense. So, that's part of me thinks that's why Grady at times has seen non-committal, to the team, because I don't know if he's necessarily feeling the scheme, so to speak.
He was, I don't want to read too much into it, so I'm just going to leave it alone for right now, because I'll wait till the offseason.
Yeah, I'm about to say, that's something we're going to have to get into in the offseason. Because he definitely doesn't necessarily seem like his, and it could be just the fact that, third year in a row of losing a lot. You know what I'm saying? It could just start having a stole. Jaden Scheffler says, sign Austin Ritter, nice veteran center. Look, I tweeted that out when Jacksonville cut him. If nothing else, I would love for them to put him on the practice squad for the rest of the year to get a look at him.
Yeah.
If nothing else, because, Hennessy, I don't really feel like Hennessy is the answer, and I'm not 100% sure if Dahlman is. So that's my opinion there. Anthony Ramos says, always a thriller with the Niners. I say either a blowout against us or a shootout between us. I'd be interested because outside of the Washington game, you haven't really had offensive explosions.
Right.
So I just don't see it happening at this moment. Without some other guys stepping up and solidifying themselves as legitimate threats, outside of Cordell Patterson and, Kyle Pitts to an extent. Like, the offense it's a grinded out offense this year.
Yeah.
That's what we're running right now. It's a grinded out offense.
Yeah. I mean, the whole team is grinding right now, and you can see that, but they grinded into 6 wins. And so, I mean, you can't be too mad at it. But before we go too much further, I do have to say, and I wanted to say this at the beginning, shout out to everyone today that took advantage of the opportunity to get their favorite team, the Atlanta Falcons, to follow them today. We saw the tweet came out. If we retweet to try to help some of our guys get into the Pro Bowl, you was going to get double whammy. You're helping your guys get in the Pro Bowl and possible follow. And after I saw that, when JR, you said what you said, I said, hold on now. I got to see if I can get in on it. And, hey, lo and behold, I got to get in on the fun. The Falcons did follow us both, and as well as other, content creators as well that's out there. So, man, just shout out to all the fans that got followed today by the Atlanta Falcons. If you were fortunate to be one of them today.
Now, I'll say this: like you can call it cheesy all they want to. It's a way to get votes, or you can call it like selling yourself out, so to speak. But I thought it was a fun, smart way, a fun thing for the social media team of the Falcons to do. Yeah. For a few hours. It brought me a lot of smiles on my face, seeing a lot of the people that I follow or that, follow us back, tweeting out that they got followed, and just the happiness that it was bringing to a fan base that hasn't had a ton to be real happy about. And it may be short and fleeting, and I get it.
Yeah, good.
But it's like I said, it brought a smile to my face today, for sure. That the team decided to do that, and same thing with Freddie the Falcon. Like that Twitter account was doing the same thing. I'm upset I didn't get the total package. I didn't get Freddie the Falcon, but that's okay.
Yeah, I couldn't either.
But that's all right.
Yeah.
It was
that's all right.
So it was. Like I said, it was a nice time to see, all that popping up on my timeline today. Yeah. Like I said, it made me smile and made me think, whoever is running. Sometimes you can feel like whoever's running the social media team is a little tone deaf. But that was a slick move by them today, or last couple of days, really. All right, let's see. Back into the comments. Bradley Burnett says, what DB or even wide receiver wouldn't want to learn from Prime? Though, let's be honest, I think he's talking about the big recruit that got flipped today. If y'all follow recruiting stuff, number 1 overall recruit decided to go to Jackson State. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I always mix it up, and I always say Jacksonville State, and that's not right. So it's Jackson State, which is cool, man. In this day and age, if you are a top-tier player, you're going to be found no matter where you go to school at. Yeah. If you are, Khalil Mack in Buffalo went 3rd overall. Trey Lance, North Dakota State, the 49ers trade all the way up to get him. So, it's cool to see players, making the decisions more based on more than just, I want to go try to win a national title.
Right.
Get a chance to be coached by Deion Sanders. How cool is that? So that was cool to see that today. Chris Jamison says, hope we can lock up the 8th seed and play on the road all the way to the Super Bowl. Look, hey, we got an advantage. We're some road warriors this year. So, as long as if we make it to the playoffs, as long as we don't have to play one at home, we should be all right. Let's, Damsky says, just noticed, nice shades. I'm talking about my new specs.
Yes, sir.
So thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I was, trying something different here. Not 100% sure about it, but I'm going with it. All right, let's see. what else we got here? Jaden Sheffer says Dante Feller better get ready for the beast. Oh, the beast of a man, Trent Williams. Yeah, I don't know if Fowler's going to get 2 sacks this week, or almost 2 sacks. Let's see. What else we got here? Falcon fan 1990 says he got Freddie and the Falcons to follow him. Look at you.
Oh, that's hey, man.
What's up.
That's what's up there, yeah.
That's what's up right there.
Congratulations on that. Shoot.
Let's see. Archangel says Debo name is Debo for a reason. He'll bull rush through defenses. I think he's talking about Debo Samuel. Okay.
Yeah, Debo Samuel.
We'll see. I mean, these are the matchups that you're going to have to contend with. I feel like this week we've spent more time talking about the upcoming game than we did the previous game. But sometimes it's like that. But yeah, it's like, this ain't no easy game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think everybody, the flow is just taking us that way because everybody's hyped now to get to this game. I mean, some of you may not want to admit it, but you are excited. I mean, we all are. Some of us might be a hit excited, but nonetheless, it is exciting to see your team be at this position, and they haven't been there in a while. And Poirier echoed that himself. In his career, he's never been in this position to even come close to having a fighting chance to get into the playoffs since he joined the league. And I think in 2018. So for him to be even having that opportunity, the team, period, they're all excited. So I know there's got to be fans that's excited too, to at least have the opportunity presented to them that our team could possibly at least crack the bottom 2 positions of 6 and 7 in the playoffs.
Exactly. And if nothing else, even if you don't make it to the playoffs, the fact that in Arthur Smith's first year, he's building towards that.
Yeah.
You know, Mykal Walker says, y'all hearing this team being the best, worst team ever. That's that feeling that you get. Like, now, this deep into the season, we all know what this team is.
Right.
Like there's no hiding it in a sense. There's no discounting that this team is, talent deprived at a lot of different positions right now. And yes, you can make the case and you can talk all you want to about, this team, all y'all have done is beat bad teams. Okay, you beat them. You didn't lose the bad teams. It's like that whole concept. If I think I used this analogy the other day, but I'm going to use it again here. If you got sanctioned and paid and whatever, and it's all legit up and up to get into a boxing ring with a woman, and it's all legit and straight, you're almost damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? If you lose, you lost to a woman. If you win, good job, buddy. You beat up a woman. You see what I'm saying? It's like, I know it's probably a bad analogy for 2021, but that's how I kind of feel. Like, you beat bad teams, and everybody's like, oh, well, you just beat bad teams. Well, you could have lost to them. You didn't. So, I choose to look at the positive side of it, I guess you could say.
It's like I said before, JR. You're collecting the wins against the bad teams, and the way you're losing against good teams is showing more clarity about what you're going to need to do to beat those good teams. You see that your team is good enough to beat the bad team that's worse than you and can't coach better than you. So you'll know what you're going to need to do next year to compete more with the good teams, because the clarity that you're getting because you're unable to beat them right now, you know exactly why you're not able to beat them.
Oh, yeah.
You understand? So I'm not really worried about us beating the bad team. That's what you're supposed to do. You came into the season with the 8th easiest schedule in the league, okay? And you could argue we should have had more wins than what we are right now. We should be over 500 right now. There's 2 wins we at least let off the hook, and we couldn't pull them in, and Washington was one of them. We had that game within our grasp, and we let it go. So this team is not bothering me as far as the team that they're playing right now, and they're at least beating them, because you got a few more that's on your schedule, a couple of more at least, that you should be able to beat, and that's New Orleans Saints and the Detroit Lions. So, hey,
Right.
I'm good with that.
I mean, I don't hear anybody talking about like the Bucks beating up the Dolphins, the Bears. Let's see who else, because this is a comment that Millie Mills brought up. He says JR Bucks been playing them same teams as well. So I was like, let me just look at the differences here. Bucks played the Giants. They played the Bears. They played the Dolphins. Those aren't, those are bad teams right now. Same thing with the Eagles. They're in the same boat that we are. So, yeah, I mean, exactly. Nobody's, giving them flack. So, yeah, it's definitely a sentiment of you have to play who's on your schedule. That's the argument I make about college all the time. That you shouldn't be discounting people just because of their schedule. Well, I ain't gonna get into that here, but I'm not a big fan of the way college has stuff set up. But anyway, so you have to play who's on your schedule. So, all right, back into the comments that we go. Jaden says, I've been watching some more college film, and I'd love to see wide receiver Jamison Williams in a Falcons jersey. Now, Jamison Williams, that's the Alabama kid, correct? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's probably a potentially first rounder. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's where at least early on in this process, I want defensive player in the first round. I want a blue chip defensive player. Like I'll figure out the wide receiver thing. I think given an off season to figure it out. Plus, I don't necessarily want to deal with a second-year tight end and a rookie wide receiver. Like, I would love to pick up somebody like an Allen Lazard from Green Bay, or, somebody of that nature who already has some experience. So that's just me, but we'll get into all that as the offseason goes on. Let's see here. Fred Butt says, if the Falcons get into the playoffs, we are going to be dangerous. We are battle tested. We'll definitely have fought through some adversity. I'll definitely say that. AJ Evans says, I will put more effort in the draft when the Falcons are done playing. If you want a playoff spot, you need to beat San Francisco. For the tiebreaker, Atlanta, as of now, has none against other 6 and 7 teams. Exactly. Like, once the season ends, that's when I'm trying to start a little bit earlier this year just to get some name recognition, especially considering y'all like to talk about the draft even before we get there. So y'all are bringing up names that I'm not familiar with. So I'm trying to get ahead of the game this year. But, yes, I agree. I'll figure out once I know where we're slotted, that's when I can really start digging in and figuring out what we do. Nick asked, is Ridley coming back? I don't think this year. Maybe not next year. I don't know. Somebody asked if we picked up his 5th-year option. We did pick up his 5th year. But I don't know what kind of implications if he doesn't play, if he says he's not coming back kind of thing, if we can, money-wise, what happens there. But Tasman says, does Eric Harris, he is still going on. Okay. He is going on about Eric Harris. He says, does Eric Harris have an interception this season? No, he don't. But Jalen Hawkins do. He's a playmaker, JR. Yes, he is a playmaker. I did a whole video on Jalen Hawkins in the offseason. I do want to see him step up and take snaps. My point about Harris was there's something, there's like a secure feeling in a veteran like that. That's all I was trying to point out.
Yeah. Now, let me say this, and I said this before, because a lot of people like to dump on Eric Harris. But you really got to realize the type of player he is. And this is one of the things I said before. When Eric Harris is on, he's on. And what I mean by that, when he has his year where he gets interceptions, he gets them. Now, unfortunately, Eric Harris has had about 5 interceptions that I can count that he dropped all season. He had 3 in the Washington game alone that he dropped. All right? He had 1 in the Giants game that he dropped. Okay, he's had interceptions, but he hasn't been able to haul them in, and that's why he doesn't look as good. Now, he makes some of them interceptions. We could be talking about a different Eric Harris, and we won't be so on his head like we are. But that's the thing about these veterans that we brought in. They are hit and miss veterans. You have to catch them at the right time. And unfortunately for Hayden Hurst, we didn't catch him at the right time, in my opinion. And that's the reason why everybody's on his head. And, I hate to say it, but some are probably glad that he's not playing, and that's sad. But that's some of the fan base, However the case, talking about that physicality, this is a perfect game for Grant coming back to impose some physicality on the San Francisco 49ers. He's going to have every opportunity to be able to show his physical presence. One of the things that was a beauty watching him in college, for him to be able to present that in this game. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Him returning back, him and Audie. I'm glad Audie's coming back because we don't know what the status is with Fowler at this moment.
Right.
Day to day for Arthur Smith.
Yeah, Audie Ogundeji coming back, it will be big for the defensive line. I'm glad you brought that up. But no, I mean, I hate that Eric Harris is out for the year, but I'm interested to see what consistent run with Jalen Hawkins will look like.
Yeah.
He has made some plays, and I think he has earned the time. So I'm sure he's going to get the time now, and that has me excited for sure. Marcus Bell says, Ridley is gone. Do we draft the kid out of Arkansas with one of the picks if he's available? He's a guy who's interesting because I saw some people, I haven't really dug into him, but I saw some people like comparing him to, a potential Cordell Patterson type of receiver, mismatch type stuff. And if we can get another guy like that to where, at least for a year or so, you got, Arthur Smith mismatching and doing all that. Because to me, that's like one of the biggest things that helps an offense is like scheme and like misdirection. Like if you can get the defense thinking one thing and you run something else, there was somebody put out a tweet last night that I saw, and if Adam's still in here, he might comment on it because he commented on that tweet where he was talking about like, all right, you got 2x2 single back and you're going against the cover 2, and like they're throwing out a scenario and having people, spout off what kind of play they would call. And I didn't respond to it because I'm not as good with the terminology that some people are, and I didn't want to make myself, sound more foolish than I do on a regular basis. But I thought to myself, I was like, what I would do is like, that naked bootleg where you roll the quarterback out and have either a running back or a tight end leak out with him. Like you get all the entire O-line crashing to the left and you roll out right or vice versa. Like those are kind of plays that, man, like when done right can pick up huge chunks. And that got me to thinking, the reason why I even bring that up, that got me to thinking is that, with a lot of positionless players, you can do a lot of that kind of misdirection type stuff. And I think that's like where Arthur Smith is headed. Like he's not there yet because we don't necessarily have the talent yet, but I think that's where he's heading, and I'm gonna be like I'm really excited to see what the next few years holds for for this team.
Yeah, I'm excited about that too. I mean, we're definitely gonna probably have another big class again in 2022, like 2021. We drafted all 9 players. I think we will probably have something close to that again. Especially this draft is heavy defense, but I mean, some guys are probably going to be mad at me because I don't have a defensive player that I'm drafting with the Falcons' first pick, but I'm not going to reveal who that is.
We're going to get there.
Want the Falcons take just yet.
We're going to get there. Bubba Gump says, Bucks. Nope. That's the wrong one. Okay. Ridley's 4th year restarts next year. I don't think a 4th year is going to restart. Because he only played 5 games this year. Falcons should recap $8 million from Ridley. I'm going to have to look into that. Bradley Burnett says, Bubba, you must have read the same article as me. if anybody can link me that article, I would love to read that. Because I've never heard anything about somebody's year restarting because of how many games they played. So that would be interesting. Maybe it's in like terms of tenure or something like that. But anyway, yeah, if there's an article that I missed, I would love for somebody to link that to me. Let's see. None. I like that name. No none. Says we don't. What do you mean Eric Harris gets interception but drops them? If he's dropping them, then they're not. He's talking about the ball hitting him in the hands and he's not getting it.
Right.
That's
right.
Yeah, okay. Tasman says, JR, should we draft the kid out of UFC who is 6'5"? I forgot his name though. I believe he's compared to Mike Evans, big body receiver.
Dempsey's still in there because Dempsey's been putting up a lot of clips of this gentleman. And he would definitely know the name of him.
I hadn't seen.
I think he knows 15.
Yeah, I haven't seen Dempsey post in a little while. But I'll tell you this: if he's 6'5" and compared to Mike Evans, I'll take it. You know?
Yeah.
Because yes, we do need, this scheme, at least going on. Okay, AJ Evans says USC guys Drake London.
Okay.
At least going off of what happened in Tennessee, it's like a big body receiver does well in this scheme.
Yeah.
Now, you've seen Arthur Smith adapt, so I don't think he has to have this, but I think it would definitely benefit a receiver who's big enough to go across the middle and take take that punishment in a sense, like like a Muhammad Sanu. Back in a few years back, if we can find a guy like that, man, I'd take him all day long. And not just in the draft, like find me that guy. I want a veteran guy too, because like we always talk about, Matt Ryan needs a year or so to mesh with somebody. No, he doesn't. He doesn't need a year or so. You've seen it with Muhammad Sanu. You've seen it with Cordell Patterson. You saw it last year with Hayden Hurst. He doesn't need time. He just needs to know that's where you're going to be.
Right.
That you're going to be where you're supposed to be. Somebody says, get Bo Scarborough. Bo Scarborough didn't make it in the league. Like, he bounced around too much. Like, if you're talking about just for, like, big back, right now, like, you just continue to give Quadre Olison some run.
Yeah. Which he is. I mean, he gonna get some more run.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, shoot. I think that's about it, brother. I think we've covered everything we can cover.
Yeah.
We bumped up over an hour. So unless y'all guys got some more questions or comments, I think that's pretty much about it for the day. Playoffs start now. Hope these guys have that mindset and go on the road to San Francisco and put in another solid, consistent effort.
Yeah, hope so.
Fred Buss says we should have plenty of money in the offseason after re-signing Matt Ryan, Grady, and Dion. It'd be interesting to see how that plays out. They got to do something with Matt Ryan. Bradley Burnett says the article is by SB Nation. Can't post the link here because it doesn't fit. That's fine. In the chat, I can send the link via email or just Google Calvin Ridley contract. All right, yeah, I'll check it out on SB Nation, and y'all can always link me that stuff on Twitter too. Shameless plug in here at this point. It's that time of the show, but you can great segue, right? You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Grim1128, GRIMM1128. I tend to respond to most like ats and direct messages and stuff like that. So, if y'all see anything interesting like that, just, hey man, link me to it. Toby
D 1991.
And keep an eye out on the channel for the little truck thought, shorts I've been putting out there. And we will be back next week with live to talk about the San Francisco game and hoping we're going to be talking about another win. But as we've just been saying all year, man, let's just win, yo.
Yeah.
Peace, y'all.